Chapter 1. The Night They Ran. Imagine you're asleep in a tent high in the freezing Ural Mountains. Outside, nothing but endless snow. The temperature has dropped below negative 30 degrees Celsius. The wind howls across the mountains like something alive. Then, without warning, you wake up in complete panic. Not because of an avalanche, not because of a wild animal, but because something has terrified every single person inside the tent. Moments later, 9 experienced hikers open their own tent from the inside. They don't even stop to put on their boots. Some leave behind their jackets. Others run barefoot into the frozen darkness. Within hours, every one of them will be dead. And more than 60 years later,
no one can say with complete certainty why they fled. Was it nature, a military secret, an unknown phenomenon, or did they encounter something that no one was ever meant to see? This is not a ghost story. This is not a Hollywood movie. This really happened, and it remains one of history's greatest unsolved mysteries. Because the deeper investigators looked, the stranger everything became. Textury. Chapter 2. Mystery, frozen in time. February 1959, the Soviet Union was locked deep inside the Cold War. It was an era of secrecy. Military projects were hidden from the public. Government records disappeared without explanation. Entire regions could be closed overnight. If something embarrassing happened, people simply weren't told.
In days, thinking days. Being with this any deal slave vicinity, stands in 22 in the past is a total Westing phrase. For the Bollander, then a Polsing, then a Portering, and a Tension, and then another weather element, 20% to after 19.2%. So, think. Thinking, saying to stray, so the sticker same, is a channel dead is good. Thinking downs play trying setting ops. Thinking downs lace, think to stray. Thinking downs memor nepal same, is a contript, think to straight. CTS and solo game. Thinking downs, they were mated, and the least label. Taking in the Mazies Lacely, you are to black that CTs they are coming. The ballant was my paperity are listening here, DS1. Things they won. It's bizarre. Least likely they are completed. Taking the Ds. Think to same. Even to same. Scintillations are only interesting it. Stop himself round. Before. They knew how to survive freezing temperatures. They understood avalanches. They carried maps, compasses, food, cameras, and emergency equipment. In other words, these were exactly the kind of people least likely to make a fatal mistake. Yet every one of them would soon be found dead, and there are circumstances so bizarre that investigators still debate them today. And perhaps the strangest part of all,
the mountain itself already carried an unsettled reputation. Its local Mansi name, Kolat cycle, is commonly translated as Mountain of the Dead. At the time, few people paid much attention to that name. Later, millions would. Hashter Chapter 3. The 9 Who Never Returned. The expedition was led by Igor Dyatlov, a 23-year-old engineering student. Calm, intelligent, disciplined, friends trusted his judgment completely. Joining him were 8 equal experienced companions. There was Zinata Komogorova, known for her cheerful personality and determination. Rustam Swabedin, an athletic engineer who rarely gave up. Yubelt Tabinina, fearless and outspoken. Alexander Kolobathov, quiet but highly respected. Yuri Dorosenko, energetic and dependable. Georgy Provanishchenko, who had previously worked near the Kishdam nuclear disaster site. Nikolai Thibault-Brignol, one of the group's strongest hikers. Semyon Zolotaryov, a World War II veteran older than the rest, whose decision to join the expedition has intrigued researchers ever since. Originally, there had been 10 members. But before reaching the dangerous mountain range, one student, Yuri Yudin, became seriously ill. He reluctantly turned back. As he watched his friends disappear into the snowy wilderness, he had no idea he would become the expedition's only survivor. For the rest of his life, he carried the painful burden of wondering why fate spared him.
Years later, he would admit something heartbreaking. He wished he had stayed with them. Perhaps then, he believed he could have changed what happened. Or perhaps he simply would have died alongside his friends. Chapter 4. Into the Frozen Wilderness. The hikers began their expedition in late January. Their goal was ambitious, to reach Torton Mountain, one of the most difficult winter hiking destinations in the northern Ural Mountains. The route qualified as a Category 3 expedition, the highest level of difficulty in the Soviet hiking system. Success to award each member an elite certification. The journey wasn't about fame. It was about proving their endurance.
As they traveled deeper into the mountains, the weather slowly worsened. Heavy snowfall reduced visibility. Powerful winds erased their tracks almost as quickly as they made them. Still, the group remained in high spirits. They laughed. They sang songs. They took photographs. Many of those photographs survived. Looking at them today feels almost unsettling. You see smiling faces,
People joking with each other, completely unaware that every picture is bringing them one step closer to history's most famous unsolved mystery. Their final diary entries reveal no panic, no fear, no sign that anything unusual had happened. Everything appeared normal, which makes what happened next almost impossible to explain.
But within less than 24 hours, something changed. Something so sudden that 9 experienced hikers abandoned every survival instinct they had ever learned. Hashtag Chapter 5, The Last Camp. On February 1, 1959, snowstorms forced the group off their planned route. Instead of descending into a nearby forest for shelter, they made a decision that investigators would later question endlessly. They pitched their tent on the exposed slope of Kulak-Sikak. The mountainside offered almost no protection from the freezing wind. The temperature continued falling. Visibility disappeared into blowing snow. Still, nothing in their journals suggested fear. They cooked dinner. They organized their equipment.
They settled in for the night. Someone likely zipped the tent closed. Someone probably laughed at a joke. Someone may have believed tomorrow would simply be another day of hiking. None of them knew they had just spent the final peaceful moments of their lives, because sometime during that night, something happened outside that tent, or perhaps something happened inside. Whatever it was, it caused 9 experienced hikers to do something almost unthinkable. They cut their only shelter open with a knife and ran directly into one of the coldest nights imaginable, barefoot, half-dressed, without supplies, without hesitation. Why? That question has haunted investigators for more than 6 decades. And what rescuers would discover weeks later would only deepen the mystery. Hashtag Chapter 6, when the group never came home. The expedition was supposed to end with a simple telegram. Once the hikers returned to civilization, Igor Dyatlov had promised to send word that the journey had been a success. His friends and family expected a slight delay. Winter expeditions often ran behind schedule. One day passed, then another. No message arrived. At first, nobody panicked. The group was experienced. Delays were normal in the Ural Mountains. But as the days stretched on, concern slowly turned into fear. By February 20, more than 2 weeks after the hikers were expected back, families demanded action.
The Soviet authorities finally approved the search operation. No one involved could have imagined what they were about to find, because somewhere beneath miles of untouched snow, the mountain had been hiding its secrets. Hashtag Chapter 7, the helicopter finds something. Military helicopters flew over the endless white landscape. From above, everything looked lifeless. Snow, rock, forest, nothing else. Then one search crew spotted a dark shape against the snow. It was the expedition's tent. At first there was relief. Maybe the hikers had simply moved to safer ground. Maybe they had built another camp nearby. But as rescuers approached, that hope disappeared almost instantly. The tent was still standing. Not perfectly, but enough to recognize it. It hadn't been buried beneath a massive avalanche. It hadn't been blown miles away by the wind. Most of their equipment was still inside: heavy winter coats, blankets, food, backpacks, even boots. Everything a person would desperately need to survive a freezing night had been left behind. Then investigators noticed something even more disturbing. The fabric had been sliced open, not from the outside, from the inside. Someone inside that tent had taken a knife and cut an escape route through the canvas. It was as if opening the entrance normally had taken too long. Whatever frightened them, it had happened so suddenly, they chose to destroy their only shelter.
But if escaping the tent had been the hardest decision, the footprints outside raised an even bigger question. Hashtag Chapter 8. Footprints into the darkness. Fresh snow usually erases every trace of human movement. Yet somehow, investigators found footprints leading away from the tent. The tracks stretched downhill for nearly a mile. There was something strangely calm about them. The hikers hadn't appeared to be running wildly. Some walked, others stumbled. A few were barefoot. Some wore only socks. One person seemed to be wearing just a single boot. Several had no shoes at all. In temperatures cold enough to freeze exposed skin within minutes, that made absolutely no sense. These were experienced mountaineers.
They knew better than anyone that leaving the tent without proper clothing was almost certain death, unless they believed staying inside was even worse. That single possibility changed everything. Because now investigators had to ask a terrifying question. What could possibly make trained survival experts willingly choose the frozen wilderness over the safety of their own tent?
No answer came. Only more questions. And those questions became even darker beneath a giant cedar tree. Hashtag Chapter 9. The first 2 bodies. At the edge of the forest stood an enormous cedar. Its branches towered above the snow like silent witnesses. Beneath that tree, searchers discovered the first 2 victims, Yuri Doroshenko Georgy Krivonushchenko.
They were wearing very little clothing. Their hands were scarred, their fingers were torn and bleeding. The bark of the cedar was damaged several feet above the ground. It looked as though someone had desperately climbed in the tree, but why? Had they been trying to see the tent? Were they hiding from something? Or trying to escape something below, nearby? The remains of a small campfire still rested beneath the snow. It had burned only briefly, not nearly long enough to keep anyone alive. Investigators concluded the two men likely died from hypothermia, but before they froze, they had clearly fought to survive. The injuries on their hands suggested desperation, as though they had ignored pain, ignored bleeding, ignored everything.
Just to stay alive a little longer. Yet, they weren't alone on that mountain. Because between the cedar tree and the abandoned tent, 3 more bodies waited. Chapter 10. They tried to go back. The next discoveries painted an emotional picture. Igor Dyatlov, Zinaida Kolbagorova, Rustem Slobodan. Each was found lying in the snow, facing the tent. Step by step, body by body, they formed a heartbreaking line across the mountainside. It appeared they had tried to return. Maybe they believed the danger had passed. Maybe they realized the cold would kill them first. Or maybe they knew their friends still, inside the mountain, needed help. No one knows. Igor's body lay closest to the tent, as if he had nearly made it.
Leonard collapsed farther away. Rustem was found with a fractured skull. The injury wasn't necessarily fatal, but combined with the brutal cold, it became deadly. Their final position suggested determination until the very end. Even exhausted, even freezing, they kept moving until they simply couldn't anymore. For investigators, the scene told a tragic story, but it still failed to explain the biggest mystery. Where were the remaining 4 hikers? Weeks passed. Snowstorms buried the mountain again. It would take months before spring finally revealed the last chapter. And when those final bodies were discovered, the mystery transformed from strange to almost unbelievable.
One mountain, chapter 11. The mountain refuses to give answers. As winter slowly released its grip, melting snow uncovered a deep ravine hidden in the forest. There, the remaining 4 hikers were finally found. Unlike the others, these victims weren't lying on the open mountainside. They had somehow reached a sheltered area. Some wore clothing taken from their dead companions, a desperate attempt to survive. But what investigators saw next defied almost every expectation. Their injuries were unlike anything found on the first 5 victims. They looked less like victims of freezing temperatures, and more like victims of an invisible force, broken ribs, crushed chests, a fractured skull. Yet strangely,
Like most no serious external wounds, it was as if immense pressure had acted on their bodies. Without leaving obvious signs on the skin, doctors compared the trauma to injuries seen in high-speed vehicle crashes. But there had been no vehicles, no explosions, no obvious evidence of violence, just snow, silence, and 4 more unanswered questions. The investigation had only become more mysterious. Because the evidence no longer pointed toward a simple survival accident, it hinted at something far more complex. Something investigators struggled to explain, and soon the strange injuries would be joined by even stranger discoveries. Chapter 12. Injuries that defied logic. When forensic experts examined the last 4 hikers, they were stunned. These weren't the kinds of injuries normally caused by freezing to death. Lyudmila Dubinina had multiple broken ribs. Semyon Zolotaryov's chest had been crushed. Nikolai Thibobryo had suffered a severe skull fracture. Yet in many cases, their skin showed surprisingly little external damage. One medical examiner later compared the 4 to what might be seen in a high-speed car crash. But there were no roads, no vehicles, no signs of a violent fight. The mystery deepened even further when investigators noticed that Lyudmila Dubinina's tongue and parts of the soft tissue around her mouth were missing. Over the years, this detail fueled countless rumors. Some claimed it was evidence of torture. Others believed it pointed to something supernatural. But forensic experts offered a far more ordinary explanation. After months, beneath snow and running water in the ravine, natural decomposition and scavenging animals could remove soft tissue from exposed areas. It was disturbing, but it wasn't necessarily mysterious. Still, that explanation solved only one question. Many others remained unanswered. Chapter 13. Strange evidence. As investigators cataloged the hikers' belongings, another unusual detail emerged. Tests detected small amounts of radioactive contamination on some items of clothing. Almost immediately, speculation exploded. Had a group unknowingly walked into a secret nuclear experiment?
Were they exposed to classified military weapons? Or had they witnessed something the Soviet government wanted hidden forever? The truth was less dramatic, but still uncertain. Some researchers pointed out that Wardar Gervon-Mashenko had previously worked at a nuclear facility connected to the Keshtiman disaster, one of the Soviet Union's worst nuclear accidents. Its possible trace contamination remained on his clothing. Others argue the detected radiation levels were too low to prove a military experiment. Even today, historians disagree about how significant this evidence really was. But one thing was undeniable. The investigation was becoming surrounded by secrecy, and that only made the mystery more powerful. How mag backing holders 1/6% times is let this mad, and that only made the mystery more powerful. God. Chapter 45, 6% and 12 occasions pretend to. Chapter 14, a case closed. Without answers, the official Soviet investigation lasted only a few months. When it finally ended, the conclusion shocked many people. The hikers, investigators said, had died because of a compelling natural force. That was it. No detailed explanation, no clear cause, no description of what that natural force actually was. Soon afterward, the case files were archived. For years, access was heavily restricted. In the Soviet Union, secrecy was common, especially if an event involved the military or embarrassed the government. Whether that secrecy protected classified information or simply reflected bureaucratic habits remains a matter of debate. But to the public, it looked suspicious. The lack of answers created a vacuum, and into that vacuum came theories. Hundreds of them. Some scientific, some imaginative, some bordering on science fiction. Actual chapter 15. The theories, the most widely accepted explanation today is the avalanche theory. For decades, critics argued it couldn't be true. The slope didn't appear steep enough. The tent wasn't completely buried. The footprints remained visible. Those details made many people reject the idea. However, modern researchers proposed a different possibility. Instead of a massive avalanche, they suggested a small slab avalanche. A dense block of snow may have shifted during the night, partially collapsing onto the tent. Fearing a larger slide, the hikers could have cut their way out and hurried downhill. In darkness, in hurricane-force winds, they may have become separated and disoriented. This theory explains many of the events, but not everyone is convinced. Another popular theory involves secret military testing. During the Cold War, the Soviet military conducted classified experiments across remote regions. Some witnesses reported seeing mysterious orange lights in the sky around the same time. Could rockets or experimental explosives have frightened the hikers? No direct evidence has ever confirmed this. Then there's this infrasound theory. Some scientists believe unusual wind patterns around the mountain may have created extremely low-frequency sound waves. Although humans can't consciously hear them, these waves may trigger panic, anxiety, or an overwhelming urge to flee. It's an intriguing idea, but evidence remains limited. Other theories are even more extraordinary. Some claim the hikers encountered a Yeti. Others blame aliens, paranormal forces, secret weapons, or unknown creatures hiding in the wilderness. These stories capture the imagination, but none are supported by credible physical evidence. Sometimes, the simplest explanation isn't the most exciting, but it's often the one best supported by facts. Last. Think time. 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 Time, 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 Tan, 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 tan. Ta 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 ta，要去当然多支援更多的大爱家里刺激多少白色，生活叫流动性里你等
香啊，要你。
Why were some footprints so orderly? Why wasn't the tent buried more deeply? Could fear alone explain every decision the hikers made? Even today, the debate continues. Poktak Chapter 17. Why the world can't let go every year. Thousands of people visit Dyatlov Pass. Books continue to be written. Podcasts explore every clue. Documentaries revisit every photograph. Why? Because the Dyatlov Pass Incident isn't just about 9 hikers. It's about uncertainty. Human beings naturally seek answers. We want every mystery solved, every puzzle completed. But sometimes, history refuses to cooperate. Some events leave behind just enough evidence to tell part of the story, while hiding the most important piece forever.
Perhaps that's why this tragedy continues to fascinate us, because every generation believes it might finally uncover the truth, yet the mountain keeps its silence. Chapter 18. A mountain that never spoke. On a cold winter night in 1959, 9 young adventurers walked into one of history's greatest mysteries. They laughed. They took photographs. They dreamed about reaching the summit. None of them expected that their final journey would become one of those studied and debated events of the 20th century. Today, we know far more than investigators knew in 1959. Modern science has answered many questions, but not all of them.
Whether the tragedy was caused by a slab avalanche, extreme weather, panic in impossible conditions, or a combination of factors, one fact never changes. 9 lives ended far too soon. Their families never received the certainty they deserved. And somewhere in the frozen Ural Mountains, the wind still blows across the same silent slope where the mystery began. Perhaps the mountain has always known the answer. Perhaps it always will. Henschel, call to action. History is filled with stories that challenge everything we think we know. The Dyatlov Pass Incident is one of them.
If you enjoyed this documentary, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to Echoes of History, and turn on notifications so you never miss another journey into the past. And now we'd love to hear from you. What do you think really happened at Dyatlov Pass? Was it a natural disaster, a military secret, or something we'll never fully understand? Leave your theory in the comments. Until next time, keep questioning history, because sometimes the greatest mysteries are the ones that still have no final answer.